All right, let's see if we can finish this shit show up here today. Let's get this thing warming up, and then we'll go over the snout story real quick. It ain't that cold. She should start. Should. Okay. Hit the glow plug that I don't think is working. There she took. Angry girl. So I got a different snout for it. was hauling that load of corn in that I finished up on the other day, and was on my way down to the elevator thinking about the situation, and it's like, wait a minute. Two of the guys that we soil sample for, used to run White and Oliver, and they still had a bunch of stuff laying around. So I called up Boss Man and said, hey, call these guys and see if any of them got a white corn head laying around. And he did, and they had to look. That's how much shit they got laying around. Got up yesterday morning, because it's Sunday. This whole thing transpired Friday. Got up Saturday. He still hadn't heard back from him, so I went and ran some errands and stuff that I had to get done, and got back home. Still hadn't heard nothing from him, so I was like, well, shit. So I started tearing apart the wadded up snout that came off of it, and got that all tore apart, and Dad and I were on our way to starting to straighten it back out when I finally got a phone call, said, yeah, we got one. And it's not that far away, so yesterday Dad and I drove over there and got that snout. Gave $100 for it. I didn't think that was that bad, because if I had to get one through Spallinger or Allstate's Ag or wherever, I probably would have paid at least $100 for the snout plus shipping to get it here. So the way shipping is right now, it probably would have cost more to have it shipped than it did to buy it. But that trip might have ended up costing me more than $100 for the snout. Don't nobody get all excited about this shit. Nothing's done deal. It's just tempting. They got an 8900 parts combine, and it's strictly a parts combine. They already yanked the motor out of it to put in a 2105, but it's got a lot of good parts on it, and it's got a mud hog on it. They got an 8700, which on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably consider this combine a 9. That combine was probably somewhere between a 7 and an 8. If you gave it a bath and cleaned it up, it'd probably be a solid 8. Had two 706N corn heads, a 15-foot flex head, and a whole slew of parts. Said the combine had been out of the field for about 15 years. They bought it secondhand out of Ohio. But other than the combine is actually really straight. The worst of it is it's clearly been backed into some stuff at some point, and back here on the rear hood, some of where they welded the back plate into the side shield, some of that's a little squirrelied up, and both the rear flashers have been ripped off. Well, one's ripped off and the other one's like bent like around. But really that's the worst of it. It's an 82. It's got a different rear axle under it that I don't think is as heavy as this one. I'm wondering if they beefed them up and went to this, because that one didn't look as heavy. It's a welded axle instead of box tube. There were a couple other things that are different about it, but that one's loaded. It's got the yield loss monitor in it. It's got the fancy reel speed control in it. It's got a bunch of options that this combine doesn't have. But he said I was joking because I was really hoping that when I asked, he said that they wanted to keep it. But just jokingly, I asked if they wanted to sell any of it, and he said, yeah, I'd sell all of it. So, I mean, I could end up with an 8900 parts combine with a mud hog, another 8700 that could probably very easily be made into a runner. I mean, I'm not saying you're gonna buy it, put fuel in it, and take it out to the field. It's obviously gonna need gone through, but it's a straight combine that's worth fixing. 2 corn heads. One of them they've been using for parts, but it's a good corn head. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. It's basically the only thing I saw missing was they'd already taken a snout off of it, and then I took the second snout off of it, and there might be a few other odds and ends, but other than that, it was a good head. The 6-row head that was still on the machine, that was a good head, and then that 15-foot table. And all the parts, it's a package deal. Like I say, don't go getting too excited about it. It's not, we didn't even talk money. It's something I'm gonna think about. So if I could get 2 8700s, set this, or leave this one set up for corn, set the other one up for beans with that 15-foot head, then we'd be going somewhere. And the 15-foot head, it's not a 900 series. It's still an older series like my Quick Cut, but it's a newer Quick Cut with a black reel on it. It still has the short two blade knives on it and the stubby guards, but that head had top guards all the way across, and unlike on my head where they're cast iron, the ones on that, all the top guards, hold downs, whatever you want to call them, were all stamped steel. So it's got me wondering if it would cut better if it had all the guards across the top, so it was actually like a scissor. It's just something I noticed that was different about it. But it was clearly still the white Quick Cut bar, because the guards, everything else matched. It had had hold downs all the way across the top instead of like every 2 foot or whatever it is, like on my head. And they were all stamped steel instead of cast iron like what's on mine. So I don't know. It was different. But anyway, she quit smoking, so that means she's got enough heat built up. So let's see if we can knock this out. I'm back on, I got my truck back out. That tire, it's this one over here, the passenger side outer dual. It's the same one that went soft on me last year ironically the last day Dad and I were shelling corn. Was it last year? No, it was the year before, because it was the same time the radiator took a shit. And that was 2 seasons ago, right? I think so. Either way, it was down to 60 pounds, which I put 80 in it Friday when I hauled that load of corn in, or no, Thursday. Put 80 pounds in it Thursday, because it's the day that I wrecked my damn truck. It came down to 60 by this morning, so from Thursday to Sunday it lost 20 pounds. It is leaking. If you put a little bit of Windex around the valve stem here, it puts out a little bubble. It's not like a super duper fast, obviously not a super duper fast leak. It like blip, and then you wait a second and it blip. So I'm reluctant to take it off and get it fixed, because this truck really just needs new tires. I mean, for some reason this one keeps putting little pinholes in tubes, so there's clearly something wrong. And then I think it's one of these inner ones. Yeah, it's the the sidewalls are getting rough in them. Like, I don't on truck tires, like, I don't necessarily mind these cracks because the hide's so thick, but when you start cracking sidewalls, that gets a little sketchy. And you can't get 1,020 tire selection this day and age is slim pickings. Miller Tire they offer one style of tent, well, technically two styles. They offer a driver, which basically looks exactly like this. They must have bought the Cooper molds and started making tires with them. And then they have a steer tire, but they're made in Taiwan. Apparently they're having supply chain issues still, because I just looked at their website while I was letting the truck warm up this morning, and the drivers, they don't even have a price listed with them. They say call for price and availability, so my guess is they're hard to get. They do make, Dad was looking into them a couple years ago, conversion rims to make these, or put these things up on 22.5 low pros, and then you can get an American made tire. So it's probably time this winter to just bite the bullet and put new tires on it. But the whole reason, anyway, the reason I got my truck back out, I aired that tire back up to 80 pounds so it'll make it through the rest of the day. The whole reason I brought my truck is I wanted to get some more miles on it. I checked the antifreeze before I started it this morning, so I knew the level, and I want to get some more miles on it to make sure it's not burning coolant. Because if it's burning coolant this winter, I've also got to look for a set of heads for it, which it's a 350 head, should be a dime a dozen. And honestly, at 50, remember, it's got 54 or 55,000 miles on it in this medium duty application for that 350. Honestly, it probably almost needs a valve job anyway, because like Dad was saying the other day, 50,000 miles for that size engine in a truck like this is probably about the equivalent to 200,000 miles in a regular pickup truck or car. So just because of the heat and everything they take. So anyway, well, I've been talking for 12.5 minutes. All right, let's see what we can get done. Hopefully we actually get it.
Fields out in the west, country folks gonna fight about which one's best, which pulls harder, which runs smoother, what don't ever break down. Who you gonna call when you need a tow? Gonna get the crop off when it's starting to snow. Might cut to the chase instead of saying hi, 'cause all we wanna know is what color you drive. Show me the keys, is it New Holland yellow or a John Deere green? Is it a quad-track smokestack, brand new or throwback, shined up or covered in mud? From Holland hay in a Case IH, Saskatchewan prairies or the Kansas plains. Does it got a ladder I can climb inside? Red, green or yellow, what color you drive? What color you drive? Stack map with a bunk in the back, put your feet in the peat and go and haul some wheat. Break a breaker one-niner in your old Freightliner, the Kennys with every penny to me. What color you drive? Show me the keys, is it New Holland yellow or a John Deere green? Is it a quad-track smokestack, brand new or throwback, shined up or covered in mud? From Holland hay in a Case IH, Saskatchewan prairies or the Kansas plains. Does it got a ladder I can climb inside? Red, green or yellow, what color you drive? What color you drive? All you low-rider Chevys, all you jacked up Fords, anybody out there driving life by the horns? Long as it gets you from A to B, it really don't matter to me. Long as it gets from A to B.
You bet it matters to me.
Yeah, it really does matter to me. What color you drive? Show me the keys. Is it new Holland yellow or a John Deere green? Is it a Quadtrac smokestack brand new or throwback? Shine up or covered in mud from Holland Black. In a Case IH Saskatchewan prairies or the Kansas plain. Does it got a lever I can climb inside? Red, green or yellow? What color you drive? What color you drive? What color you drive?
All right, we are finally and uneventfully done. This is, well, I hauled in a full load, a load that was mostly full, and then this is a full hopper. I could have got some of it on the last load I hauled in, but it's like, well, if I got to haul in one more partial load, I might as well make it worth it. So, but I'm gonna run the truck back to the house, and we'll come back and get the combine, and I'm gonna blow it off and take it home and blow all the corn out of the hopper into the sump so I can clean it out and throw it on here, because I bet there's a bushel and a half, 2 bushel of corn stays in the hopper just from auger troughs and whatnot. So I'll get all that taken care of, get this load hauled in. We'll do the final tally on what this field ran, and then that'll be the end of the video. All right, well, that field didn't do too bad. 166.3 bushel an acre. It's like a little over 1,800 bushel total off of 11 acres. Probably would have been doing better, or probably would have done better than that, but, and I don't know if you could have caught it on video or not. In that backfield where I was shelling today, the closer you get to the woods, like over in the longer rows, there was a bunch of deer damage in the form of, it looks like earlier in the summer when it was, I'm guessing probably about V5, V6 is normally when they get into it. The deer like to go through and pull the whorls out, which takes a tassel with them. And the ear, or the plants will still put an ear out, and they get pollinated by neighboring plants that still have tassels on them, but it still hurts them. But for 166 bushel an acre to dry year on a fresh farm that needed some work, and the fact that it needs lime probably doesn't help none either. And it's going to be fun spreading lime on that thing, as wet as it is. It's like it's that wet in a dry year. That thing's going to be a challenge in a wet year. And I got a phone call about my lime when I was down dumping that last load, and now we can't get lime till the 14th at the earliest, because for some reason, well, for starters, all the ag lime around here pretty much comes out of Francisville, Indiana, and because of all the road construction and whatnot that's been going around here this summer, lime and limestone in general in any form, whether it be rock or like ag lime, whatever, limestone this year has been kind of a hot commodity because of road projects and building projects and whatever. It's just been hard to get and expensive. So the quarry down in Francisville ran out of ag lime earlier this week, and they currently have their crusher set up to do some other form of lime, so they're not going to be back to crushing ag lime until the 14th. So anyhow, but also while I was down at the elevator, small world, literally me, I was sitting in the driveway taking the phone call, and a semi pulled in behind me, so I waved him around because I didn't know how long I was going to be. And he pulls up on the pit, and I pull up behind him, and he gets out of the truck, and walks up and hands Teeter a treat and says he watches the channel. Literally me and one other semi in the whole place, and he watches the channel. That's actually a second time that's happened this year, or this harvest season. The first one happened the day after I got done cutting beans. I was literally in my backyard unhooking the head on the 7300 to put it so I could put the combine in the barn, and the neighbors were having some pine trees planted, and one of the guys walks up and starts talking to me. He says he watches the channel. So I literally met somebody that watches the channel in my backyard, like not like in my backyard, like in the general vicinity of the neighborhood. Like literally I was standing in my backyard next to my barn. So it's kind of neat. But anyway, my plan for the rest of the day is get the 87 blown off, so get it ready to power wash, get the head blown off, get it off and back on the header cart. Then the plan for the rest of the week is to get this thing power washed, get the 7300 cleaned up and power washed so these two can get put back in the barn. And that's out of the way while the weather's nice. And then hopefully by Thursday, Friday time frame, jump on chopping stalks, and hopefully by Sunday be chisel plowing. That's the plan, because the weather looks decent the rest of the week. And also at some point this week I got to squeeze in, I got invited to go get a video of a John Deere S680 shelling corn. So I got to squeeze that in at some point. At least I hope to catch him shelling corn. Otherwise I'm going to go catch him when they finish up cutting beans here later in the week. But at some point I got to squeeze that in. And at some point I got to start, hopefully this week I got to start giving out or sending out rent checks, and I got to get my Helena credit loan paid off. That's got to happen. It's going to be a busy week. So, but anyway, with that being said, harvest is done, thank God. So that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.